Welcome back to the A Game on AppTV, where it's App State sports 100% of the time. Thanks for joining us as we kick off Season 7 of the A Game. I'm Braxton Critcher.
And I'm Ashley Smith, and on this week's episode, we will be covering men's and women's basketball from over the weekend and an update on the track teams and their both undefeated records so far.
And the wrestling team has also started off their conference play 4-0, so it'll be exciting to talk about them. We also get to welcome in good friend of mine, Zach Lyon, who's a manager on the basketball team, as we get to analyze what happened this past week and then preview what's coming up this week for the basketball team.
So let's get started. It's time for the A Game here on AppTV. The men's basketball team scratched out a 72-67 overtime victory over the Arkansas Little Rock Trojans Thursday night. But the Mountaineers had to use an array of timely baskets, solid defense, and dominance on the glass to come back from a 13-point first-half deficit.
And they needed every single bit of that effort, Ashley, because App State allowed Little Rock to shoot 43% in the first half, and they trailed by 6 points at the break. But they would counter that in the second half by holding the Trojans to 29% shooting in second half and overtime, Ashley.
And senior forward Griffin Kinney posted a double-double with 12 points and 12 rebounds, while O'Shawn Williams carried the black and gold offense with a team-high 13 points and a game-high of 6 assists when he comes off the bench.
He is the spark that Jim Fox needs off the bench. He's provided that the past 2 games. And then Craig Hinton made the most of his reserve role, also coming off the bench, posted a career-high 3 blocks and added 6 points and 7 rebounds, hitting the game-winning shot that sent the Mountaineers to overtime. And now let's dive right into the women's basketball team, who took on the same team, University of Arkansas Little Rock, right before the men's team played on Thursday evening in the home center.
And App State fell 40-52, yet held an impressive defensive stance against the Trojans, Braxton. They only held the Trojans in the final 3 quarters to 30 points and only let them shoot 37% from the field.
And it was important because the black and gold out-rebounded Little Rock 37-27, with Bailey Plummer grabbing 10 of those rebounds, which led the team.
And Tiara Wilson, who knocked down this tough jumper, had the teammate Free Stanley with 9 points to lead the team.
Laney Gosnell, who assisted Nicola Matthews right here, finished with 8 points and 5 rebounds. But the Mountaineers just could not stop Ron J. DeGray and Tori Lasker, who combined for 32 points, and they remained undefeated in Sun Belt Conference play.
Lakin Cook's victory in the 157-pound weight division highlighted a strong showing for the Mountaineers at their Appalachian Open. The Open saw wrestlers from 16 different schools and some alumni as well. In total, 5 different Mountaineers reached the championship stage, with Cook taking home the victory. The win improves Cook to 19-10 on the season. 2017 All-American and App alum Denzel Desjardins took home victory in the heavyweight division. Coming up on the A Game, stick around because we've got men's and women's basketball coverage from Saturday's action against Arkansas State.
And we get to welcome in Zach Lyon, who is the member of the men's basketball team, as we break down what he saw from the team and what that means for them moving forward.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to the A Game. Now let's get you caught up on what happened Saturday afternoon for the women's basketball team when they played host to Arkansas State after that big loss to Little Rock on Thursday night. Coach Angel Ellerkin's team made big plays down the stretch, capped off by a huge three-pointer by Nicola Matthews with 11 seconds remaining on the clock. That gave the Mountaineers a 67-64 lead in what was a huge 68-66 win. App and Arkansas battled it out for the last few minutes of the game, but it was the Mountaineers' long-range shooting that saved the day. The Mountaineers are now undefeated this season when shooting over 40% from deep, and they went 11 of 18 from three-point territory on Saturday. Lainey Gosnell led the way in scoring for the Mountaineers, finishing with 18 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Now let's go to Holmes Convocation Center, where A-Game reporter Austin Lopp was at Holmes Convocation Center and has more on the story.
Coming off their 4th game in 8 days, the Mountaineers knew they needed a win here at home versus Arkansas State following a 3-game losing streak. 18 points from Lainey Gosnell and a double-double from center Bailey Plummer kept the Mountaineers in the game, but the real story was shooting, where the Mountaineers were able to shoot 61% from 3, keeping them in the game up to the point where guard Nicola Matthews sunk a 3 with 8 seconds left to go to clinch the win for the Mountaineers. When asked how she felt going on the floor knowing she was probably going to be taking that shot, she said she felt confident knowing that her team trusted her.
That was A-Game reporter Austin Lopp from Holmes Convocation Center with the highlights from the game. The team will now be going to UT Arlington on Thursday for more Sun Belt competition.
Appalachian State's men's basketball team furious rally came up short against Arkansas State during Saturday's loss. Down 29 points with 16 minutes remaining in the second half, junior Ronshaw Shabazz and the Mountaineers went on a tear in order to close that deficit. Shabazz scored 20 of his 27 in the second half and got the Mountaineers within as little as 4 points of the Red Wolves in the closing seconds. The Mountaineers simply ran out of time, losing 93-88. Hannah Mosley was at Holmes Convocation Center for the game and has more from the court.
App State's men's basketball team fell to the Arkansas State Red Wolves 93-88 here in the Holmes Convocation Center. After trailing by 29 points in the second half, the Mountaineers managed to drop 8 threes to almost completely close the gap. Ronshaw Shabazz led the Mountaineers with 27 points, Justin Forrest had 15, and Tyrell Johnson followed with 14. After the game, Coach Fox said he wishes the energy in the locker room would transfer onto the court.
That was A-Game reporter Hannah Mosley with a breakdown of the game. The men's basketball team will be traveling to UT Arlington with the women's team for a doubleheader on Thursday, and you can catch that game on ESPN3.
And now we're going to bring in a guy that, longtime friend of myself, was at the game and saw everything that transpired on the court Saturday afternoon. There's also a manager on the basketball team for men's basketball, and Jim Fox and his staff. And I want to ask you this to introduce yourself first, Zach, because nobody else has seen you before on the show. So just give us, what your title is, what you do with the team, and stuff like that.
Yeah, my role with the team is basically I help out with practice every day, set up practice, make sure practice is running on time, and I go on all the road trips with the team. I do all the filming for the team, and that's about it, yeah.
So this will be a good question for you. As a fan, as a member of the media, you go into Saturday's game, maybe you wake up that morning and you look at your phone, pull up the standings, and you recognize that Arkansas State is the second worst team in the conference. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They got blown out by 20-plus points to Coastal Carolina just the other day. So you go into App State knowing the talent that they have, and you expect to be at home that you would beat a team like that by 15 or 20. So going into that game, you expect that as a media or a fan. But as a player, do you think that had any effect from the things that we saw in the first half?
Not really. I just think in the first half we weren't settled. We were really out of control. Our offense turned the ball over way too much, and it didn't help that Arkansas State was hitting about everything they threw up in the first half. So.
But like Coach Fox said in the press conference, he said that he wants his team's energy from the locker room to go straight to the court. Like,
right.
What kind of energy do you see in practice in the locker room that was not there in the first half on Saturday?
Yeah, the energy in the locker room is always great before a game. The guys are always hyped, ready to go. There's never any problems with the guys locking in before we play. I just think the guys, they get down too quickly. They see a few turnovers and something clicks in them, and it's a string of bad things, especially when Arkansas State's hitting all those shots. So.
Yeah, Arkansas State, if I remember correctly, they hit 10 three-pointers in the first half and scored a lot of points off turnovers. And I want to talk about that as well, because in the first half, in my mind, App State gets down by 29 points, and it was the press defense that Arkansas State set in that first half.
Yeah.
Is hard to break, but the thing is, if you're able to stop them from scoring, you're able to get on, your transition offense, and you don't have to break the press. But because they were hitting literally everything, you weren't able to not have to stand against that press. So, so offensively, defensively for me, it's just the Mountaineers weren't able to. The game plan they came in with, Arkansas State literally hit everything.
Right. And, coming into the game, we really preached being able to get out in transition, get these long rebounds, go out in transition, beat them before they can even get set up in their zone. With them hitting all those tough shots in the first half, we really couldn't get out in transition any. Their press was making us turn the ball over. And I think that's why we went in such a big hole, because we could just never get our offense set up the way we wanted it, and Arkansas State was on fire.
Yeah. And you said that trying to get the team transition all the energy from the locker room to the court and trying to make all that happen during the game. Do you think that this has been a reason for the teams being like, we have a big win on Thursday in overtime, but then we don't have the energy and go down 23 points in the first half on Saturday? What kind of expectations do you think Fox has going into the games next week against UT Arlington?
Well, Fox has just preached consistency, especially since conference play started. Non-conference, our offensive numbers were great. I think we were as high as number 12 in the country in offensive efficiency. We get into conference play, and it's like our offensive numbers go down, but our defensive numbers go way up. We were holding teams to 60, 70 points a game. And Fox has just been preaching we got to find that balance where we can have those offensive numbers from non-conference and have these defensive numbers and kind of push them together and max out our potential.
You talked about defensive numbers. When App State holds their opponent to in the 60s on the defensive side, they're 4-1 so far this year. And another guy that really contributes to that is O'Shawn Williams.
Yes.
And to me, a guy that averages almost 2 steals a game, he provides that spark that sometimes the starting lineup to me just doesn't come out as what you might expect. But then O'Shawn Williams comes in, and sometimes they go on 8-0 runs, and a lot of times it stems from that defense.
Right.
Talk a little about how O'Shawn has played, especially the past couple games, because he started that comeback on Thursday night.
Right.
He started the comeback from 29 points down on Saturday, and he's been that kind of reliable force that you've seen on this team.
All right. O'Shawn, he's been a special player for us so far. He's coming from junior college. He's still getting adjusted, and you can't really tell because he plays so well. He comes in these games, he gives automatic energy. He loves guarding. He takes pride in defense. He's a great floor general. He knows how to direct traffic. He knows where to put the ball to make plays happen, and he's a great three-point shooter. So everything O'Shawn does, I think it really just molds the team together when he's on the floor, and he's just kind of that glue that you need, when your team may be falling apart.
And another one for O'Shawn, there was a moment in the second half when there was an offensive rebound, Griffin Kinney grabbed it, kicked it back out to O'Shawn, and he had no business being able to see where Ron Shachabaz was, but he threw a no-look pass where he never even looked that direction, found him for a three-pointer. And to me, with the way he's played these past couple of games, and sometimes the inconsistent effort from Justin Forrest, we know he's talented, and he certainly puts up good numbers, averaging 15 points a game. But do you think maybe Jim Fox or maybe somebody else on the staff has considered starting O'Shawn just because of the struggling from Justin Forrest? Because he's talented, it's just he's in a slump right now.
I don't think so. I think the staff and Fox like O'Shawn coming off the bench. I think they like bringing him in the game if we do get in a hole like Arkansas State, because just his energy. He comes in, he talks, he's very vocal. Fox is big on, talking. If you don't talk, he's putting you on the bench, so O'Shawn is just that glue, that energy off the bench we need right now, and I think it'll stay like that. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for joining us today, Zach, and we will see you next week. Coming up after the break, we have an update on men and women's track and our first Player of the Week of Season 7, so stay tuned.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back to the A Game. Now let's talk some women's track and field who had a huge runaway victory for the black and gold, scoring 132 points at the Thundering Herd Invitational and beating the second placed and the host team Marshall by 33 points. Chesley Hargrave set 2 tournament records, one in the long jump and the other in the triple jump. The women won 7 events in total on their way to a team victory at the event.
The men's track and field team had a strong showing at the Thundering Herd Invitational, taking first place out of the 10 teams in attendance. The Mountaineers edged out UNC Charlotte for the victory. The black and gold saw a school record fall in the 400-meter relay. Ryan Hastings, Brandon Smith, Jabari Johnson, and Deshaun Ballard set the record with a time of 3 minutes 14 seconds. Hastings also set a tournament record in the 800-meter dash. Our first Season 7 Player of the Week goes to Nicola Matthews of the women's basketball team. Saturday against the Arkansas State Redwolves, Matthews went 2 for 2 from behind the arc, which one of them ended up being the game winner. One of her pregame rituals, though, is to shoot half-court shots to help with the arc on her three-point shot.
Now, before joining the Mountaineers, Matthews played 1 year at the College of Central Florida, and in high school, she helped her team win a state championship in Australia.
It's been exciting to watch Nicola and the women's basketball team this season, and we're proud of them for overcoming the obstacles and adversities they have faced all season and continue to do so through the Sun Belt play.
That's going to do it for this first episode of Season 7 right here on the A Game. Thanks for joining us, Braxton Critcher and Ashley Smith, as we give you what you need to know about Mountaineer sports.
Now remember to check us out on Facebook and Twitter at the A Game Sports, the best way to follow your Mountaineers during game time. For Braxton Critcher, Sam Moore, and the rest of the A Game staff, I'm Ashley Smith, and we'll see y'all next week.